I mean, it's only Tomas. It's only fitting that we start this podcast off laughing just because of this main event and how crazy it was. But I mean, hey, I think we're also delirious on a high because we're going to Revolution on Sunday and we have WrestleMania at the end of the month. Like it's gonna be freaking busy and freaking insane. But this is what we've been waiting for, man. This is
We are going to 4 wrestling shows in the span of a month.
5 for me because I'm going to Raw. I'm going to Raw after Mania.
Technically 4 because we're both going to AEW Revolution. I'm going to the Dynamite after Revolution. We're both going to Supercard of Honor. We're both going to WrestleMania, and then you're going to the night after Mania. So
yep,
the Raw after Mania. So it's a lot. We're just kind of mentally preparing right now. And what a better way to prepare than one of the most critically acclaimed pay-per-views before Mania, No Way Out 2001. That was a perfect segue.
Sir.
This pay-per-view is probably one of the most underrated I've ever seen in history. It is headlined by 2 main events that would shape up the main event for which is known as one of the greatest main events in WrestleMania history. Can I say the phrase main event enough?
Yeah, no, it's honestly the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. Fuck Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns last year. Rock and Austin at 17 is so much bigger than that one. But yeah, honestly, man,
fuck Brock Lesnar versus Omos. How about that?
That's Tomas's bathroom break right there. But yeah, we're not gonna talk about Omos right now. So this pay-per-view, No Way Out 2001, I can honestly sit here and say without question, it's one of my favorite pay-per-views. I'm not gonna lie, it's one of my favorite. It's easily up there with the best B pay-per-views of all time. And this whole stretch from Royal Rumble 2001 up to WrestleMania, No Way Out is up there with the best of them. It's so freaking good. You have 7 matches on this card. Not all of them are fantastic matches, but I think they all achieve their purpose throughout the course of the night.
There's a lot of hidden gems on this show we're going to be talking about, including one match that on paper you would think it's just a throwaway match, but when you watch it, there is a certain person in this match that I'm going to give a lot of credit to. I feel like this person does not get enough credit for how very little
I know where you're going with that.
Wrestles. Yeah. Notice how I'm keeping it very gender neutral because I don't want to reveal who this person is.
No, I know exactly who it is. I know exactly who it is, but we'll get to that, I'm sure. I don't think this person is in the opening contest though. And this is, again, it's not a Dudley Boyz match in the opener, surprisingly. What do we have? What do we have? Let's just get into it.
Absolutely. Opening up this show is a hardcore match for the hardcore title. Right now, as it stands, it is Big Show challenging Raven. One thing about the hardcore title, it wasn't just about hardcore. I feel like this was WWE. WWE and WCW were both very guilty of taking the hardcore element that was the very much cult popularity that was Extreme Championship Wrestling and inserting it into their own brand. So with the hardcore title, it wasn't just about the hardcore rules. Of course, in this match, we're going to get our steel chairs. We're going to get our trash cans. We're going to get our stop signs. We're going to get our shopping carts full of kendo sticks and a bunch of other great weapons. It's the introduction to the 24/7 rule. And it was a lot better implemented back in the day. And this means the title is on the line 24/7. So it doesn't matter if it's in the ring, in the crowd, backstage, in the airport, in the parking lot, at somebody's house, in a backyard, on the street. It doesn't matter. The title is on the line 24/7.
You can have interference at any time you want to in this match, but as it is, it's Raven who is such a lost relic of the Attitude Era. He fared so much better in ECW, obviously. I've given Raven so much credit on this podcast. Going up against the Large Performance, of course, as his challenger, as he's known nowadays. It was fun for what it was. Do we want to talk about this random ninja lady that came out to help Raven?
Yeah, my only question is, who is this? It's apparently this ninja
I still don't know.
Just made random run-ins at hardcore segments, and she immediately jumps Big Show at the entrance ramp at the beginning of this, and Big Show throws her off immediately. It's just a distraction so Raven can meet him at the entrance ramp and get this match started right away. Raven has a shopping cart full of weapons. Like I said, you got your kendo sticks, you got your trash cans, you got your trash can lids, you got your stop signs, you got, all of the usual suspects.
The kitchen sink.
Hardcore match. The kitchen sink, everything They say everything but the kitchen sink, but no, they have the kitchen sink included in this. It's not very far into the match until Hardcore Holly makes his presence known, joining in and basically
was it
making
Hardcore Holly? I think Crash came in first. No, what happened was no.
Oh, yeah, the popcorn man, who ended up being Crash, and that was Crash's gimmick. He was putting on these silly disguises so he could sneak his way. Crash Holly to the Hardcore title was like a precursor to what R-Truth would have been to the 24/7 title in modern days. Crash was just so funny. He would be the one, running from guys in Chuck E. Cheese, going through the tubes, going into the ball pit, going into bouncy houses, avoiding people in the airport just to keep his precious Hardcore title safe. Here with him now, he disguised himself as a concession man. He jumped the barricade. And you know what? This disguise was actually pretty clever because for a while, I could not tell it was Crash. So he's trying to attack Big Show and Raven. There's popcorn flying all over the place. And the thing about the Hardcore title is you have to pin the champion to win the title. You can't just pin some random person in the match. You have to pin the current champion to get the title.
Exactly, yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. That's a key thing to note. So you won't be seeing Crash pinning his cousin Hardcore once he came into the picture, but the King was able to guess right away that it was Crash Holly. And I don't know how he had that night vision to actually see that it was Crash, but the Big Show hits a fall away, World's Strongest Slam type move on Crash, and he knocks his wig clean off. So it's he's wearing one of those, whatchamacallit, he's wearing one of those fake mustaches that if you were in theater and you had to, your role required that you had a mustache and you couldn't grow facial hair like me, that's the kind of thing you would wear. And I'm sure Crash's upper lip must have been killing him because of the spirit gum, because that thing stayed on no matter what.
Gotta say, spirit gum. Every actor's best friend. No, it's not.
Freaking hate spirit gum, man. If anybody is listening to this podcast and has ever done theater like us, you know what we're talking about. Soon enough, Hardcore Holly does enter the fray alongside Tomas's favorite wrestler, Steve Blackman, with his kendo sticks. And then
basically for most of this match, Big Show is playing defense, trying to keep his title. It was a lot like the Royal Rumble that we reviewed earlier this month, but with Kane. All the guys ganging up on Kane. All the guys are ganging up on Big Show, trying to keep him in bay. I think it was then. Did Crash regain the Hardcore title in this match?
No, what happened was
get the pin?
No, what happened was the one Billy Gunn runs down to the ring, hits the Fame Asser on Raven, and he becomes the Hardcore champion. Crash tries to roll up Billy Gunn, and of course Crash is failing. But like a fucking idiot, instead of running away and claiming the Hardcore title for himself, Billy Gunn decides to keep working with these blokes. If you have the time, not just run away like a scalded dog.
That's a good point. And to kind of backtrack for a minute, one nitpick I have with the whole Hardcore 24/7 title rule thing is like you said, the title is on the line no matter what. So what's the point of Big Show and Raven having a one-on-one match if other people are just going to automatically, interfere and make it into a multi-man match? I know it kind of keeps the unpredictability there, but, at the same time, I still prefer this over to the stupid way WWE did the 24/7 title, where it was like, oh, we're going to have official sanctioned match for these 24/7. So why? When it's literally on the line 24/7. Or that stupid time where Shane McMahon had Elias as, one of his cronies, and Elias was the 24/7 champion, and Shane would say, oh, the 24/7 rule is banned for this match. Then it's not 24/7. It was kind of a off-topic tangent there, but, it's wrestling. What do you expect?
It's wrestling. It's fake. You can stretch the rules however you want to, but, I like my wrestling to be within the confines of some sort of rules, but anyhow, Raven sneaks up from behind and pins Billy Gunn to regain the Hardcore title somehow, some way. And then as Howard Finkel is announcing Raven, Crash tries to roll up Raven again to win the Hardcore title, but doesn't happen. Big Show pitches Crash Holly into the fifth row practically. I thought he was dead. And then Big Show, man, he just you've awakened the monster essentially. And he chokeslams Raven onto a trash can, which could not have been comfy at all. And he beats Raven, wins the Hardcore title, but the one Billy Gunn still wants more. He wants to keep fighting.
And that was a mistake, because you think in the confines, again, with the 24/7 rule, that why would anybody give up trying to go for the title? but everybody's laid out by Big Show. The one Billy Gunn tries to get the title from Big Show, but Big Show just absolutely annihilates him, throws him out of the ring, and then just for good measure, as his music is playing, lifts the one Billy Gunn in the air and then rams him into the steel post. And it's just like,
yeah,
Big Show's up. Don't even try. Just give up.
He rams Billy Gunn into the ring post as his music is playing. Is it just me, or so Big Show does a shitty backdrop on Billy Gunn to the outside, and it was almost like the guys in the production truck had enough of this, so they just played the Big Show's music, and then he's like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to hit Billy Gunn with a move into the ring post, and then that's going to be the end of it.
Yeah, it's like the people in the production truck were like, you know what? He's going to be done in a couple of seconds. There's no point in us stopping his music and then restarting it again. This wasn't really much of a match, but I had fun with it. I had a lot of fun with the hardcore title. You know, like we talked about, one of our most watched pay-per-views is WrestleMania 18. And I just love that whole sequence of it starting off with Goldust and Maven, and, the title changes backstage and they're all over the place and there's golf carts just for Maven to regain the title from Christian Cage as he left the building. So This was fun. I had a good time watching the chaos unfold. I'm going to give a 1.5 stars. Big Show and Raven didn't do much, but, you throw all those crazy elements in there. And that's what this Attitude Era, almost post-Attitude Era was all about.
That sounds about fair. 1.5 for, the actual stuff. But I mean, I had fun with it. I don't think the star rating here is indicative of how the match actually was for us as the viewer. We were entertained by it. Big Show turns out to be, Jerry Lawler called the Big Show, he might be the first hardcore champion with no challengers. Because the commentators were like, would you want to go up against the Big Show when no rules are involved? I certainly wouldn't, especially peak Big Show like this. No way.
You try sneaking up on the Big Show while he's in line trying to get a cheeseburger in and out, and you see how that works out for you. It's not going to end
Absolutely. Well. So before we get to our next match, we do see a backstage segment of WWF champion Kurt Angle arriving to the Thomas and Mack Center, which I completely forgot to mention. This pay-per-view takes place in Las Vegas, and Kurt actually tells Kevin Kelly, who asks him how he's feeling about the title match. Kurt's like, oh, I'm doing super. It's only fitting that this title match is taking place here in Las Vegas because, no offense, this city does have the highest percentage of losers than any country here in America. Oh, yeah, it's true. And The Rock is going to be the biggest loser of them all. And I'm like...
Not to bury the lead, but during the main event, I totally spotted a sign that said, yes, we are all losers.
Yeah.
Just kind of feeding into Kurt Angle's bullshit.
The only thing missing was the Raw After Mania crowd to chant "We are losers" at that segment. But anyway,
we have another backstage segment too, where William Regal he's making his way to the ring because he's about to special. No, I'm sorry. Wow, that is totally wrong.
We're totally jumping the gun here. We got a Intercontinental title match to talk about, buddy.
Thank you. I got my order mixed up. Go on. Yeah,
it's
we have
okay.
A big match to talk about.
We have Chris Jericho defending the Intercontinental title against Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, and X-Pac in a fatal four-way match. Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero are interviewed backstage prior to the match beginning, and Lillian Garcia, of all people, asks them, how do you expect to coexist not only against each other, but against X-Pac and Chris Jericho? This match, not only did it have that story going on, but it really felt like the ghosts of Chris Jericho's past were coming back to haunt him. He put X-Pac away with an injury in a cage match at No Mercy, which is another show we've discussed. He injured Eddie Guerrero, put him on the shelf for 2 months. Chris Benoit just won the belt off of him in a classic ladder match, and now everybody's coming together to make such an amazing, amazing technical wrestling match. Oh boy, did I love this thing.
Two things actually before we hop into this. X-Pac is the unsung hero of this era. I feel like he is so underrated.
I knew it.
He gets put in these crazy situations, and he makes gold out of all of them. Like, he has this, and then later on he's going to have his little bromance with Kane, which is such a random tag team, but it becomes so endearing, and it's such a fun – it was a fun feud that had a shitty ending, unfortunately. The blow-off was pretty bad. There basically was no blow-off. These guys easily could have had a WrestleMania match with one another, but they decided not to go that route. But at the same time, remember, this is 2001. The Helmsley McMahon era is in full throttle now. Shawn Michaels, his back is broken. He's been gone for like about 3 or 4 years at this point. There is no more Degeneration X, but X-Pac, the little X-Pac that could, he is keeping the spirit of Degeneration X alive. And he's
He
basically
sure
like,
is.
as long as I'm around, DX is going to be a thing. He's still got the music. He's still doing the cross chop. He's still got the green pyro and the green arena effects. Any other person, I would say, let it go. DX is dead. But it just, you can't say that to X-Pac because he's keeping the spirit alive as best as he can.
And you know what? I think I know where you're going with this, not to steal your thunder or anything, but X-Pac more than held his own against 3 technical masters of the ring, Benoit, Guerrero, and Jericho. And these 4, here's the thing about Fatal 4-Way matches. A lot of time, you'll see 2 guys on the outside probably taking a rest, something like that, selling the injuries, while 2 guys are just in the ring, getting their shit in. There was action all over the place. I did not know which pair to watch. There was a pair, Benoit and X-Pac are brawling on the outside. Jericho and Guerrero are in the ring, and they're trading off, and it's just so many amazing combinations in here.
The best kind of multi-man matches, whether it be triple threat, fatal 4-way, fatal 5-way, is when there is so much action and so much unpredictability going on that you just sit there and go, this is anyone's match. It
really is.
When you have those slower pace matches like the ones you just said, it's hard to get into. But another great example would be a match that happened way down in the future. And that's Claudio Castagnoli, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and The Miz from Extreme Rules 2016.
Love that match too.
It's just so chaotic that you look at every single person in this match too, and you go, this is anyone's match. Anyone can take this. And it sure proved there because Jericho's Intercontinental title was in a lot of danger in this match.
Oh yeah. This match was made in the interest of fairness, which is something that we covered in the last podcast, the Royal Rumble 01. Benoit with a crippler crossface on X-Pac early. Jericho breaks it up. That's another thing. Anytime, the sense of urgency in this match, sky high. Not only does that put higher stakes on the Intercontinental Championship as it is, which is something I always love to see as someone who loves the Intercontinental Championship, not only did it up the stakes, ups the urgency, but it felt like, it felt consistent. It felt like there were a couple of spots where the urgency could have been upped to break up the pin or the submission or whatever, but it always felt like someone was there to break it up. Like nobody ever did enough.
And in an era of chaos where they are literally hot potatoing the Intercontinental title and the tag team titles on almost a weekly basis, there was no reason why Benoit couldn't have regained the title or X-Pac couldn't have won the title or if Eddie Guerrero could have got the title. And I also, even though I don't disagree with the finish, I think it would have been really, really fun to see X-Pac take the title. And he could have been, the underdog in this match. That could have slipped away with the win.
Man, that would have been awesome. But seeing where Jericho was going into a feud with William Regal at WrestleMania, I understand why they didn't take the title off of him here. So what happens, Guerrero does hit a frog splash pretty early onto Mr. X-Pac himself. Benoit is pinning Jericho, and Eddie sneakily puts Jericho's foot on the bottom rope. And Benoit doesn't exactly realize that his friend just cost him the title. But then, 2 minutes later, Guerrero breaks up a Benoit pin, and then they start fighting each other. And the King is like, I knew this was going to happen, JR. Of course.
Well, it's every man for himself for the Intercontinental title. You're not going to, that's one trope that kind of bothers me in wrestling. If you seriously believe two friends or partners are just going to let the other person win a title, I know we just talked about this with our Royal Rumble review where we're just like, these teams need to be forming alliances, but it's just like, even if it's like a frail team, like an Eddie and Benoit, why egos in pro wrestling? Why are you going to let the other person win?
It's every man for himself. It's a great story. It's tried and true in wrestling, and it certainly worked here. Eddie Guerrero was hitting big moves to try and one-up his best friend. One spot that I loved was Jericho going wall to wall, putting the walls of Jericho on all 3 individuals in succession. Nobody was tapping out. But he has X-Pac in the Lion Tamer, or Walls of Jericho, whatever you want to call it. X-Pac's buddy, Justin Credible, runs down to the ring to try and run interference, and he's quickly disposed of. Benoit...
And you know why? You know why Credible interfered in the match? Because at this point, they were dealing with the X Factor.
Yeah, they sure were. Man, but so many amazing near falls. Jericho with the lion salt on Eddie Guerrero. X-Pac hits the X Factor on Chris Jericho, and you think that that's enough for Sean Waltman, but Benoit, of course, would break it up. Oh man, just so like such a fast-paced finale to this match. X-Pac ends up standing tall, but then out of nowhere, Jericho hits him with a victory roll and escapes with the title, retaining it by the skin of his teeth. The match went 13 minutes. I'm giving it 4.25 stars. I love this thing. Love this match.
I'm going to give this 4 stars. This was so much fun to watch, and it was definitely it was a match that kind of snuck up on us. You see Jericho just beat Benoit in an amazing match at the Royal Rumble 101, and then you're going to throw 2 other, factors into this match. It kind of just took us by surprise. You know, if you want a modern day equivalent, again, refer to that Extreme Rules Fatal 4-Way match for the Intercontinental title. Then this was a lot of fun, and it's always impressive when the champion is able to retain when they have so many other people gunning for that title.
Well, and you remember The Miz was the champion going into the Extreme Rules match, and who won that match?
The Miz.
Yep. Again,
so it's always impressive.
Tried and true formula. The champion goes in and escapes by the skin of his teeth. So, yeah, Jericho goes in, defends the title against Regal at WrestleMania, and we've covered both of his matches with William Regal on previous installments. So go and check those out if you haven't already after you're done with this. But do you want to... Yeah. I want to, discuss this next match.
Yeah, so speaking of Mr. William Regal, Regal is backstage minding his own business, and then Vince McMahon approaches him and basically tells Regal, for this next match, you'll know what to do. And Regal says, all right, Mr. McMahon. And then Mr. McMahon walks away, and Regal goes, what am I supposed to do?
What the bloody hell am I supposed to do?
And it's such a feeling of anxiety when you're just like, yeah, I know what to do, but you have no idea what to do. What are we talking about? We are talking about Stephanie McMahon versus Trish Stratus. This has been a huge feud on Raw this is kind of hitting its boiling point. In the latest installment of What the Fuck Was Vince Thinking,
it was built up so well, though. Like, this match and feud, it was really well built up, and both ladies were selling it really, really great.
It's a very awkward relationship in the McMahon-Helmsley regime. So basically, Vince McMahon, the horrible bastard that he is, put his wife into a coma-induced state where she is in a wheelchair. She can't do anything. Why is this man not in prison? So basically, Vince induced a coma onto his own wife so he could tongue wrestle with Trish Stratus. But no, remember, they're just friends. But Trish Stratus...
Let me correct you. It's Stephanie McMahon, Daddy's little girl, against Trish Stratus. In Vince's words, my very good friend. He even said that to Regal. Jesus Christ.
It's his mistress, basically, and believe it or not, they're not getting along, the mistress and the daughter, believe it or not. So poor Vince is stuck between the rock and the hard place.
Poor
between
Vince.
His daughter and Trisha. I know, it's sheer sarcasm right there. Yeah. And they're basically going to fight it out. You look at this match and you just think to yourself, bona fide cat fight. Got to get the ass and titties on the pay-per-view. And which is disgusting to say because this is Vince's daughter. And of course, Vince would have these fucked up thoughts when booking this feud. But
fuck Vince McMahon, man.
Let me put this into perspective. This is way before Trish Stratus, the 6-time women's champion. This is way before Stratus faction took over the world. And Stephanie McMahon is not a wrestler. She has wrestled a handful of times in her career, but she understands this business. She grew up with this business in her veins. So even though she's only wrestled a few times, her and her brother Shane, Shane's not a good wrestler. We know that he has no training, but Shane knew how to wow the crowd. He knew how to do the big time stunts, and he wasn't afraid to do these death-defying stunts to get the crowd to pop. Stephanie, on the other hand, she gets the psychology of this business. So whenever you put her in the ring, she knew how to work a match without working a match, if that makes any sense. She's
She
not
was
a
a
technical
natural.
prowess. Yeah, she's not a technical prowess. She doesn't know how to do 1,004 holds like Chris Jericho or Bryan Danielson, but she knows how to work a story.
4 holds.
Yeah, basically. And that's what Stephanie and Trish Stratus did in this match. They told a good little story.
They did, and the crowd was really into it too. Just because it's a feud that's been built up over a couple of months at this point. Steph and Trish, like, it's heel versus heel technically.
Yeah,
but the crowd does not give a shit.
Who the fuck do you cheer for? Do you cheer for the hussy that's basically having an affair with Mr. McMahon, or do you deal with Little Princess, the girl with the extremely annoying shrill voice, the one that is, married to Triple H, who helps him win all of his matches? She's born with a silver spoon in her mouth. She's an entitled little brat. Who the fuck do you cheer for in this match?
Totally. And this is also kind of the point where we were starting to get introduced to Trish Stratus's offensive repertoire. She does hit a bulldog on Stephanie McMahon, and Trish has gone on record, like, on the episode of The Weakest Link that she would appear on later on in 2001. If anybody remembers the WWF Weakest Link, Trish said that she does a few variations of a bulldog, and she does at least 3 of them in this match. She hits a DDT on Steph as well. Like, she's a master of a bulldog, man. Stephanie also knows how to get a rise out of this crowd. They start brawling on the outside. She grabs a jug of water and throws it at Trish Stratus. You put 2 and 2 together.
I fucking wonder why.
Oh, well, you got to make her freezing. You can't get her warmed up for too long, so you got to cool her down.
Again, let me say this again. Stephanie is my chairwoman. I love me some Stephanie McMahon, but Vince, you are booking this feud. That is your daughter.
It is his daughter. So you want to...
considering the innuendos that are in this match, Vince, that is your daughter.
Sick son of a bitch. But we cut to the William Regal stuff. This is where This is where he becomes so relatable in so many ways, because he has so much anxiety figuring out what the right thing to do is.
Yes. He makes his way down to the ring. I think the referee has been knocked out at this point. No. First.
No, the ref was knocked out at this point.
The referee was knocked out, and Regal helps Trish Stratus to get the pin. But when the referee comes to, Regal has no, that's not what I was supposed to do. This is what I was supposed to do. And he puts Stephanie's foot on the rope. And then that's when Regal comes in. Does he punch out the ref again?
No, what happens is the referee was kind of unconscious, does the slow count for Trish. And then he's like, William Regal's on the outside. Yes, okay, this is the right thing. Vince's very good friend is going to win. So Trish is pinning Steph. And then he has a change. Like, he changes his mind in an instant. He's like, wait, I'll put Stephanie's foot on the rope. He's so anxious here. He's so anxious. So he walks into the ring. Here's what happened to the referee. He goes in. The referee's still coming too. And Regal's like, he stomps on the referee to make sure he's down. And then Trish is lambasting poor Regal inside the ring for his anxiety. Trish slaps Regal across the face, which is something you don't want to do. And then William Regal hits that really sick-looking neck breaker that he does on Trish. And Stephanie covers Trish Stratus after that neck breaker, and she beats Trish. So Stephanie McMahon is victorious. That should be the end of the feud. Done, dusted.
I'm going to give this 2.25 stars. This had no right being as good as it was for what it was. And again, here's the thing. I refuse to watch Stephanie versus Brie Bella. I don't like the Bella twins, and I don't like giving any of their feuds any attention. But from what I heard, Stephanie has had some really good matches, including with Brie. She stole the show at WrestleMania with Ronda Rousey. Stephanie understands the business. She knows how to get heat. She knows psychology. She knows how to tell a story. This is the first time we got to see Trish Stratus actually be a wrestler. It was, again, it worked out as well as it does. And William Regal did the right thing.
He did.
Or did he? Well, because Regal is backstage and Vince confronts him, says, "What the hell did you just do out there? That was not the right thing to do. And to prove how wrong you were, you're going to team up with my daughter, Stephanie, and you're going to fight me and Trish Stratus tomorrow night on Raw." Oops, I guess you made the wrong choice, Regal. It's like when you're playing a video game.
I guess he did.
That was the right option, but you didn't.
And the turnout of that tag team match was so stupid. Like, I actually went and actually went back and watched that match specifically. What happened is it was all a ruse just for Vince McMahon to humiliate Trish Stratus on live television. Bastard.
So
Bastard.
Regal thought he was doing the right thing, but then changed his mind about the right thing just to be told he didn't do the right thing, but all along he did the right thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's the right thing.
Wrap your head around that one.
So, as a match, yeah, I mean, the turnout wasn't really all that great. I mean, I'm going to go 2 3/4. I was entertained by this. I think they told a really good story. I think Trish showed a lot of promise as a performer at this time, you know, like in ring wise. Stephanie knows how to tell a good psychological match, man. She knows how to do it. I don't care what you say. She's my chairwoman.
Again, she doesn't wrestle a lot. I could probably count the amount of time she's wrestled on 2 hands. As far as I can remember, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Attitude Era stands like, no, she wrestled here, here, here. As far as I can remember, it's only been a handful of times that Stephanie has actually been in a sanctioned match. But when she does, she surprises me every time.
She does. But, okay. You want to get serious now?
Oh, absolutely.
Speaking of Helmsleys, we have Triple H versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, 3 stages of hell. This is the final nail in the coffin for this feud. Turns out Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H absolutely hated each other before Austin was run over by Rikishi. Don't forget. But it turns out that even though Rikishi did it for The Rock, he actually did it for Triple H because Triple H wanted Stone Cold out of the picture so that he could ascend to the top, even though he already did that while Austin was active.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because didn't this all like coincide not only with Austin getting run over, but Stone Cold Steve Austin dropping Triple H in midair while he was in a car at Survivor Series 1999?
2000 Survivor Series 2000 is when that happened.
2000, yep. Thank you. I knew it was one of those. So
99 is when he was run over.
Okay, 99 was run over, and then so these guys have been at each other's throats, and it can't be contained anymore. You saw them fight at the Royal Rumble. You saw Stone Cold Steve Austin cost Triple H the WWF title. You saw, Triple H damn near cost Austin the Royal Rumble match. These guys, this needs to end, and it's only one way we can do it. First fall is going to be a regular match. Second fall is going to be a street fight, and the third fall, if needed, is going to be a steel cage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And one of the big story elements going in, let's not forget, there was a hold harmless agreement where these guys could not physically harm each other in the build-up to No Way Out because Vince cannot risk this big-time match being put in jeopardy due to injury. So what do? In addition to, the contract, Triple H outsmarting Austin, not signing the contract fully, after he hits a pedigree, then he signs the contract.
He only put 2 of the H's.
He only put 1 H. Yeah, no, he didn't even put half of it on the contract, so it must not count. So Stone Cold Steve Austin in return stuns Triple H's girlfriend in real life, Stephanie, and Triple H, furious in retaliation, pedigrees Stone Cold's best friend Jim Ross on SmackDown. So this is personal. It's been built up. Like, say what you want about Kurt Angle and The Rock in the main event. All due respect to those guys. They're 2 of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Everybody who bought No Way Out 2001 back then was probably buying it for this match so they could see the outcome. And
the blow-off. This was the blow-off. And these guys, I'm going to bury the lead right now. This match is 5 stars. This is
5
excellent from
fucking
start
stars
to finish. It has everything. It has technical wrestling. It has brawling. It has storytelling. It has great psychology. It has blood. It has amazing spots. Literally anything and everything you could ask for in a great wrestling story in the Attitude Era was in this match. This was the second pay-per-view I ever watched when I subscribed to the WWE Network. Never saw the show before. Never saw this match before. And I was enamored from start to finish. Again, pre-2014, unless you own these shows on DVD or VHS, there was really no way to watch these shows.
I owned this show on VHS. I watched it so much as a kid. I loved this match, and I would continuously go back to it.
When you're given the entire library of WWE pay-per-views, and that's what sold me on the network alone. Sure, yeah, the originals would be cool. Yeah, the documentaries were great. But when you give me like literally when they told us that stuff, oh, original shows, oh, documentaries, I was like, that's cool. But when they said the entire pay-per-view library, take my money. That's
That's
all I
sold.
wanted.
Yeah.
And so when I wanted to go back to 1 year prior before I started watching wrestling, and that was 2001. Watched the '01 Royal Rumble. Then I got to No Way Out, and I was just like, where has this match been all my life? Because I love it.
Yeah.
It's a hidden gem too, because everyone talks about Triple H and Cactus Jack in Royal Rumble 2000. They talk about Triple H and Cactus Jack inside Hell in a Cell. They talk about Rock and Mankind in the I Quit match. They talk about all of these, some of my favorite matches, Triple H and Shawn Michaels SummerSlam 2002. This match doesn't get talked about enough, and it should.
Yeah, so they start off with a regular wrestling match, and this layout, by the way, this 3-act structure, if I could use a film term for a second, this was Triple H's plan. So number 1, the first fall, the regular wrestling match, said was about pride, and he said it was about outclassing Stone Cold Steve Austin. And they go in there, and they just have a psychologically really nicely told wrestling match. Austin, I believe, was selling the I might have it backwards. Austin was selling the arm. Screw it. Austin was selling the leg, and Hunter was selling the right arm, I believe.
So I talked about what a ring general Triple H is, like, enough. I've talked about that to death. A lot of people don't realize that prior to Stone Cold Steve Austin's neck injury, he was a damn good technical wrestler.
He really was.
I will say it again. Spring Stampede 1994, stunning Steve Williams versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat for the United States title is my favorite WCW match of all time.
Really?
It really showcased Steve Austin's wrestling skill in that match. And here's the thing, even though Stone Cold Steve Austin's moveset was very, very, very limited after his neck injury, he still somehow pulled out these technical classics in the Attitude Era. And this first fall proved that.
It's really, really freaking awesome, man. But Triple H is going for a figure 4. They can't explicitly say Ric Flair's name on WWF programming yet because, mind you, WCW was 1 foot in the grave, but they still could not mention Ric Flair on the programming just yet.
Flair was going down with that ship.
Indian Deathlock as well. JR marks out for the Indian Deathlock. But then eventually Hunter goes for the flying nothing, and Stone Cold nails him with the stunner and actually pins Triple H clean. Austin wins the first fall, regular wrestling match, totally outclasses Triple H in that context. And then once the wrestling match is over, oh my God, it gets so much more brutal. And the King was begging for blood at this point. He was like, street fight! I'm like, yeah, I'm sure a lot of other people were like that too.
Cold beats the holy hell out of Triple H with the steel chair. And I mean, beats the holy hell out of him. Not as bad as he beat The Rock with that chair at WrestleMania, but damn, was it close.
Hunter tries to leave through the crowd, but he can't exactly escape.
Yeah. If I can go on a tangent real quick, and I feel like WWE has even proved this even recently, if you think chair shots can't be brutal just because you can't do them to the head, I beg you to go back and watch this match. I beg you to go watch Steve Austin and The Rock at Mania 17. I beg you to go back and watch the Royal Rumble from this year. Those chair shots, again, just along the body, along the legs, absolutely brutal.
Nasty. Absolutely nasty. So Hunter tries to leave through the crowd, but little does he know there is no way out when it comes to Stone Cold Steve Austin. I know. I had to. But there is so much brawling all around here. About 10, at least 10, maybe even a dozen chair shots by Austin. Austin is throwing so many weapons around. But out of nowhere, no Mick Foley in this match, mind you. But Austin has a barbed wire 2x4. So that's where the blood starts pouring. Austin introduces the barbed wire 2x4. So fitting enough, Hunter is the one to hit him with the bat. And Austin is cut open the hard way. Man, oh man. There was so much There was so much blood everywhere. Triple H wanted a pedigree on the announce table, but there's a back body drop off the English announce table. Hunter goes crashing through the Spanish announce table, and
I love that spot.
At this point, the commentators, like the King was the only one with a headset on. JR had lost his headset after Austin went careening over the table. So the King was calling this match by himself for a good little stretch there. And Hunter goes through that table. The crowd loses their freaking minds. One of my favorite things, Stone Cold grabs a beer from his cooler, punches Triple H as hard as he can with it. And this is a full beer can, too.
Great. This is great.
Wonder if Austin was drinking on the job.
Yeah. When isn't he drinking on the job?
Oh, yeah. When isn't he drinking on the job? Exactly. But, yeah, there's, man, oh, man. There's a humongous chair shot into the head when they're back in the ring. Hunter's bleeding at this point. Because, honestly, when does Triple H not bleed in a main event style match around this time in his career? When does he not?
Oh, man. I was just going to say, I don't want to get off topic, but blood needs to be saved for special events or for huge, pardon my pun, blood feuds like this. And I feel like when Triple H bled, it meant something. You don't do it every week on your TV show.
Oh, man. And
I'm just going to leave it at that.
I remember
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I remember when Triple H introduced the sledgehammer as part of his signature. And I remember when that was a big deal because JR was putting over the sledgehammer as the deadliest freaking thing in the world. Hunter brings his sledgehammer in, freaking cleans Stone Cold's clock, hits him with the sledgehammer, pedigrees him, and Triple H wins the street fight. So now we are one apiece. It's time to drop the cage.
Immediately down comes the cage. And the first thing I noticed is that Stone Cold Steve Austin is rolling towards the outside of the ring. And I'm just like, you idiot. The cage is coming down. You're going to get crushed by the cage.
I mean, he is. He is. They're grinding the barbed wire into the head of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because keep in mind, they kept all the weapons in the ring for this cage match. So it's pretty much like a big, gigantic Hell in a Cell match, in a sense. It's a cage match with weapons. Except they can't go to the outside. Austin, oh, man, the way he was selling this barbed wire, man. I mean, it's legit. It's legit.
It is.
You know, looks like he was barbaric. Legitimate anguish.
Usually the part where I would probably nitpick about inconsistencies, but considering this is a blood feud, I'm glad they did this. Triple H tries to escape the cage, and that's when JR tells us you cannot win this match by escape. And, you know, I know it's inconsistent, but at this point, you don't want this match to end by escape.
Yeah, you cannot win this by escape, which is fitting for the pay-per-view name, which I dare not make a joke about again. But Hunter hits another pedigree. 1, 2, Austin kicks out, and the crowd is losing their mind. You know, like, because honestly, these two guys, the story of this match, these two hate each other so much, and they're beating each other to the ends of their ropes. And they beat each other so much that one does not really decisively beat the other. Austin grabs the barbed wire 2x4. Triple H grabs the sledgehammer. They each have one more shot in them, hit it pretty much at the exact same time, and Triple H pins Stone Cold, not because Triple H actually hit a move on Austin and capitalized on it, but it was out of sheer circumstance that Triple H fell on top of Austin.
I get that, and that was the smartest way to go, but this is still a 5-star match. It's just too amazing for me not to give it 5 stars. I'm going to give it one little knock. The wrong guy went over.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying, but, I mean, I know Triple H was a made man around this point, but Austin was around the Austin kind of knew that this neck injury was life-changing for him. Wasn't going to be in the ring for that much longer. So I kind of understand why Triple H went over, in a sense. Even though Stone Cold won the Royal Rumble, absolutely should have won this just based on that merit. But the fact that Triple H would go on to wrestle, what was it? Like, I don't know, like as a full-time worker, at least another decade. Like, he had a lot more longevity. And him being put over in this feud, that just makes him as, you know, tippity top. So
yeah, for sure, for sure. And considering this is a lot like, no, I'm going to say this for the main event. Just you think WrestleMania is going one way and they pull a complete 180. And I'm glad we got the main event we did. But this is something that if they did nowadays, I would kind of be a little irked. I know that might sound a little hypocritical of me because I literally just praised, I wish Sami Zayn would have won the Universal title, but that would have completely derailed WrestleMania plans. But I think I'm jumping the gun a little. I think it's because Austin's already going to WrestleMania to wrestle for the title, so they had to have the blow off here. And we've said this before, including with Rhea Ripley now. I just don't think your Royal Rumble winner should be getting pinned like anywhere near WrestleMania.
No. But in that regard, yeah, I agree with you. 5-star match. It's probably one of the best Triple H matches you'll ever see. Stone Cold was on another freaking stratosphere. 2001 was a great year. If you were a Stone Cold fan, if you were watching his matches and all that, even going into the Invasion storyline when he was the top heel in the promotion, he was still a top-tier professional wrestler, putting on great matches with Kurt Angle, putting over Rob Van Dam huge, putting over Triple H huge in this match. It was a great year to be Stone Cold Steve Austin.
It was. Considering what would happen in 2002 and beyond, this was the last like full throttle year of Stone Cold Steve Austin as an in-ring competitor. Because I know we've gotten to post Austin. You know, we've talked about the many farewells he's gotten, his stints as, sheriff and special guest referee and other things he'll be sprinkled out along in our retrospective. But this is 2001 was the last full-blown year of Stone Cold Steve Austin, I feel.
It sure was. It's one of my favorite matches of all time. It really is. Like one of, if not my favorite match for both of these guys. I'm just going to go right out and say that. It's hard, honestly, maybe not so much for Austin. It's really, really hard to top the submission match he had with Bret Hart. That's like one of the greatest matches you'll ever see. But, man, this one is up there. If you've never seen this, Tomas and I'm sure Tomas puts his stamp of approval on this. Obviously, 5 stars. But go check it out.
Before we get into the main event, there's something that you really, really, really like on these shows, and that's a backstage Rock promo.
Wait a minute. No, we have 2 more matches after this.
2 more?
Yeah.
Well, I skipped over 1.
This was the middle of the show.
Oh my God. You know why I forgot? Because this next match is so fucking weird.
Yep.
We have Stevie Richards representing Right to Censor versus Jerry the King Lawler.
Yep.
And who is he accompanied by?
The cat.
Miss Kitty.
Yep.
The cat. Wow, I am so out of it tonight. I am sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm skipping orders. I'm forgetting
Lawler's wife at the time.
This match has a very, very, very interesting backstory, both kayfabe and behind the scenes. So basically, kayfabe is the cat wants to strip. She wants to take her clothes off. She wants the world to see her nude. And apparently that makes you, oh my God, no, I'm not gonna put my foot in my mouth there with that one, but
nope.
Right to Censor basically says, no nudity. Can't do that. Jerry the King Lawler says, yes, you can. That was a terrible Jerry Lawler impression.
Of course, yeah. Of course Jerry Lawler would stick up for that. Of course he would.
Right to Censor says, no, you can't. You know what I say? It's up to the person if they want to take their clothes off or not. But I digress. So Lawler challenged Richards to a match. If Lawler wins, his wife can strip naked in front of everyone. If Richards wins, the cat must join RTC. And that's when shit really hits the fan backstage. And we will save that for after the match. But
it's a ragtag group, Right to Censor. Yeah, so Jerry the King Lawler gets up and goes to leave for his match. Obviously, JR cannot call this match on his own, but Joey Styles would probably beg to differ. Taz comes out to be the color commentator, and he's like, I couldn't wait to get out here, Cole. I needed to do this color commentating opportunity. I'm not gonna let it slip, Cole.
Taz and JR would be a pairing you would not see again until 2008 on SmackDown, believe it or not.
Yeah.
A very, very, very odd pairing that was very short-lived. but it happened. It was the thing.
It existed. It existed on planet Earth in the WWE. But this match, I mean, as a cool down match, it was fine. I mean, you know, the work in the match. Jerry the King Lawler is obviously going to be a ring general. Steven Richards, I said this on our last episode when we talked about Unforgiven, one of the worst pay-per-view matches of all time between him and Tyson Tomko. But this right here, RTC, Steven Richards, geek wearing White Sox, I think that's peak Steven Richards right there. The one you
That's
would
another thing.
just
Richards is another guy that knows how to get heat. He knows how to get heat, and he knows how to work a crowd, because
he sure does.
Second to this is, of course, the Blue World Order, the gimmick he got over in ECW. He knows his gimmicks, and he knows how to work them well. But yeah, this match wasn't really anything. It wasn't really about what happened in the match.
Wasn't anything special
after the match.
I wouldn't want to say there's anything bad about the wrestling per se. There was a lot of interference though. Jerry Lawler actually does do the corner punches. One thing I remember vividly about this match is how many corner punches Jerry Lawler hit on Stevie Richards. I was so used as a kid to seeing just 10 corner punches. I had never seen Jerry Lawler wrestle before this match, believe it or not. So he would go on to hit 26 of them, and the crowd would actually chant along with that. And I don't know why I would laugh so much, but
there's three things Jerry Lawler is known for: corner punches, the flying fist, and the pile driver.
Yep. Those are Jerry Lawler's 3 moves of doom. But he has a sleeper hold on Stevie Richards, or maybe it might have been the other way around. The Cat goes into the ring with Ivory's women's title belt after a brief little skirmish there with the ladies. The Cat has the title, accidentally hits Jerry Lawler with it. What a geek. And Steven Richards pins Jerry Lawler there. And the referee did not see the belt shot anywhere. So the Cat...
I'll give it a star. Yeah.
It's star and a half. I mean, the wrestling's not bad at all, but you're not gonna remember this match at all, especially after following the 2 out of 3 falls match. It was absolutely in the death spot.
Now, this is the real meat to this whole ordeal. It's what happened after. Would you like to explain what went down and why this whole angle basically got scrapped?
To my knowledge, what happened is the Cat was pain to work with backstage, and she wanted out of the company, and she said deuces, and then the King followed her right out the door. That's basically the extent of what I know.
The Cat must join RTC thing never happened. She showed up on Raw the next night being forced to dress like Right to Censor. Then the week after, poof.
Vanishes from your TV screen.
And Jerry Lawler followed in her footsteps. He would leave for like an entire year, I think.
9 months. 9 months.
Yeah, because there was also a rumor that he didn't want to work with the ECW guys when the whole invasion thing happened. So he wanted to wait for that whole thing to blow over. And because here's the thing. Back in 1996 and again in 2006, when Jerry Lawler would badmouth ECW, that was for shoot. He hated ECW. He would call it extremely crappy wrestling. And he didn't like the whole hardcore gimmick thing. He hated Paul Heyman. I vividly remember a promo Lawler cut on Raw going into One Night Stand 2006, where he said, "It's fitting that ECW is going to be on the Sci-Fi Channel because everyone on ECW are a bunch of aliens. And Paul Heyman is the head Martian." So anytime Lawler would cut a heel promo on ECW, he wasn't joking. So the fact that his wife got fired and the fact that he knew WWE was about to purchase WCW and ECW, he wanted nothing to do with it.
And the irony, because Lawler's replacement as color commentator would be none other than Paul Heyman himself. So
thank you, Lawler, for walking out, because we never would have got that beautiful pairing of Heyman and JR.
Yeah, so Paul Heyman would go on to be Jerry's replacement up through Survivor Series of that year when the Alliance actually lost it all. And then the King actually came back to replace Paul Heyman after the ECW business subsided. So
it's basically, to describe that whole thing in a nutshell, you know that meme of Squidward where he's holding up the newspaper and SpongeBob and Patrick run out and he says, "Is it safe to go back yet?" That was Lawler. That was Lawler. He was waiting for all the ECW shit to blow over. And he was just ready. Okay, I'll come back.
Yep.
So it was
safe to come back.
it was very it was coincidental, and it was
yeah.
very in Lawler's favor that he was very upset that his wife got fired, but at the same time, his job just purchased the company that he hates with the burning passion.
Basically. Up next, we have a very interesting triple threat match for the WWF Tag Team titles. This is in tables match form. So the Dudley Boyz are going to be in it, defending their newly won belts, as we talked about at the Royal Rumble. Their challengers are former champions Edge and Christian, and the Brothers of Destruction. Man, oh man, does this seem like a mismatch. All due respect,
it really does, doesn't it?
All due respect to the two brotherly tag teams, Edge and Christian and the Dudleys, but Undertaker and Kane were main eventers at this point, and they were doing, a tag team title program here. Like, these two had no direction, clearly, until the night after when Hunter would challenge Taker and all that. But
exactly. It's like they were just trying to hold these two over until they got into their actual Mania feuds, and you hit the nail right on the head. You look at the Undertaker and Kane, and you just wonder, how come when these guys won the tag team titles, it was only in like short stints? Well, that's exactly why. They didn't have time to waste in the tag team division. They were world title contenders. They just put these two together because, come on, it's the Undertaker and Kane. Who doesn't want to see these two team up and absolutely destroy everybody?
Yeah, so the story going into this is that Edge and Christian are trying to get their tag titles back. And to do it, they're trying to get the Dudley Boyz and the Brothers of Destruction to fight each other. So Edge and Christian kind of roped in the big brutes at a time when they were like, okay, why not? Why not? Let's go after the tag titles. Yeah, it was a fun enough match. I mean, it's obviously, my nitpick is going to be elimination, but obviously they weren't going to be beating Undertaker and Kane at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the look of Edge and Christian coming out to the ring. And I vividly remember Taker and Kane going outside. They're stalking their prey up the ramp. Edge and Christian are about halfway up. Here's Taker and Kane. And then the Dudley Boyz shooting star comes down, and they have the other brutes coming on the other side. And, Edge and Christian are trapped.
Stuck between the rock and the hard place, and they got themselves in that situation.
Exactly.
So again, they only have themselves to blame.
Only have themselves to blame. But Taker and Kane looked dominant in this thing, beating the crap out of the tag champions, beating the crap out of Edge and Christian. There was no denying these two. There was no stopping them on route to the tag team titles. But then what happens? They're about to do a double power bomb or something on the Dudleys through tables when Rikishi and Haku make the interference.
Random tag team. Thin air.
I'm trying to give Tomas a stroke. But no, obviously, it's not random. They're two Islanders. So obviously they must be related.
So here's the thing. Rikishi had nothing going on. Haku just came back in the company.
Which is a damn shame. That Rikishi had nothing going on, seeing as how he just ran down Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Literally on his way to being the top heel in the company, right back down to what he was doing before. And he'll be chucking and dancing and jiving and shaking his ass again in no time.
In no time. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Not even 3 months later, he was fighting William Regal at Judgment Day as a babyface.
And losing in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if you guys want us to review Judgment Day, I actually just watched that show. So if you want to keep this,
that might be fun to fill in the gaps. Mainly because we reviewed all the other 01 shows up to the Invasion angle, I believe. But anyway, so Taker and Kane fight the two Islanders up the ramp. The Dudley Boyz take advantage and 3D Christian through a table to retain the titles. Not really anything you're going to remember. I'm going to go 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5 sounds fair.
Yeah, 2.5. I mean,
it was forgettable.
This was pretty much in the death spot as well, right before the main event, which is ironic, saying that Undertaker and Kane are in a death spot. This was just to get these two on the card.
Again, I think Triple H has the right idea, especially when you look at Elimination Chamber. Not every single one of your big stars has to be on every pay-per-view. Taker and Kane could have taken the night off.
Very, very well could have, but I mean, this is Vince McMahon booking the show, and he's got to get all his big guys on there to sell tickets. So, speaking of the big guys, here we are.
Before we get to it, there is something on this show that you really much enjoyed. Even though this one is short, we get a Rock backstage promo.
We do, yeah. It's not. I don't want to say it's the most memorable Dwayne Johnson promo that you've ever seen, but he's being interviewed by Michael Cole right before he walks out to the ring, and he's doing the gimmick he was doing in this entire build since he won the #1 contendership. He's like, Michael Cole, listen. And you think he's going to talk about the Rocky chants that everybody's shouting as loud as they can, but it's actually tick-tock, tick-tock. It was all about, Kurt Angle's time in the spotlight. His 15 minutes of fame are up, and he's coming after the gold again. He's going to regain I'm going to try this again. He's going to regain the championship, essentially, that Kurt Angle took from him at No Mercy. So that's what we got.
So here we go. For the WWF Championship, it is Kurt Angle defending against The Rock. And two things I want to say. First of all, Angle is still the underdog champion after he's proven everyone wrong time after time. And it's weird saying that considering Angle's the heel. But here he is again going into the main event, and he is not the favorite in this match. And I feel like that was such a damn shame for his first title run. Like, I get it. But at the same time, why are you going to put the belt on a guy if you're not going to treat him like he's the biggest star in the company? And it felt like that's here. The other thing I'm going to say, this is a million times better than his match with Triple H at the Royal Rumble. And I mean a million times better.
Oh, yeah. I would even argue this is a better match than him and The Rock had at No Mercy when Angle actually won the title.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair.
Even though I really liked that match, you really, again, WrestleMania is looming. This is the last pay-per-view match before WrestleMania, and the title's on the line. So you really felt a sense of urgency in here, and you felt the gravitas of the situation. Kurt wanted to go into Mania as the champion. The Rock wanted to regain his old glory. And one other thing that I really, really loved about this match was the intensity shown by both guys, in addition to the urgency. These two guys were hitting belly-to-belly suplexes as hard as they could. And another tidbit that you might not know about this match, the build-up to this show, No Way Out 2001, is where they introduced the ankle lock into Kurt's repertoire because they saw he was an amateur wrestler, and they were like, hey, we should add a submission into this. So he got Ken Shamrock's blessing, and the ankle lock since became his.
Another thing about this match is it's crazy to say this, but Kurt Angle is the best wrestler in the world, like when it comes to amateur style wrestling, that style of wrestling. But I think The Rock hung with him pretty well. The Rock's not known for being a technical wrestler, but
he's no slouch.
He's toe-to-toe with Angle. No slouch whatsoever. And I think these guys have great chemistry. Even
they really did.
In the later days when Rock would become a part-timer and him and Angle would work a couple of times here and there on SmackDown, it was good.
It really was.
Worked well together.
I love this match. Like I said, these are two of my favorite performers of all time, if not my top two favorite performers ever. Like, honestly, this shirt right here, like, it's a Rock shirt, first and foremost, from 2001, but you have the American flag on there, and Tomas was like, hey, you have an Angle and Rock combination shirt right there. And I'm like, well, they were never a tag team, but
it was a Rock and Angle hybrid right there.
It is.
Here's the thing. This match had the components to be an overbooked mess, but I think Angle and Rock handled it so well. There was brawling outside the ring. They used their environment to their advantage, but the stuff inside the ring was so damn good. Angle's hitting an angle slam for a near fall.
That was towards the end of the match. Before we get to
the Rock cinched in for the ankle lock for a long time before Rock can make it to the ropes.
Before we talk about that, though, can I address the Big Show's interference? Because
that happened before all that.
That happened before all that big time, energy there. So the Big Show, for some reason, his music hits during this match, probably because The Rock beat him in a number one contenders match, and the Big Show is just a bitter Nancy that he wasn't in the main event here at No Way Out. So referee Mike Chioda tries to get him towards the back. Big Show choke slams this poor referee as hard as he can with one arm. Kurt Angle gets a choke slam. The Rock gets a choke slam. They play his music, and then he leaves. Could you imagine if the pay-per-view ended this way with the Big Show choke slamming everybody? It would not be as fondly remembered. I don't think.
You know what we would have got? Something fucking terrible. We would have got Big Show, Angle, Austin, and Rock in a fatal four-way.
Oh.
And that would have been terrible.
No. We would have gotten Austin and Angle in a classic one-on-one match, and then we would have gotten Rock and Big Show in a probably, mediocre match. But what happens after the choke slams? This is so funny. So the referees come down to check on poor Mike Chioda. All while this is going on, and they're escorting Mike Chioda to the back. Kurt Angle comes to, crawls over to The Rock, and goes for a pinfall. And as the referees are escorting Mike Chioda out of there, I can't get it out. Yep.
Drops what he's doing. And I mean literally, because he drops Chioda. He says, oh shit, drops Chioda. Him and Charles Robinson plummet to the ground, and he goes in because someone's got to officiate this championship match. He goes for the pin, and The Rock kicks out. Hebner immediately leaves the ring to continue helping Chioda, and Robinson, I don't know. It couldn't have been Robinson. Robinson was still with WCW. Anywho, whoever
Tim White. Tim White.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Tim White basically tells Hebner, go. I got this. I'll take care of Chioda.
It's so annoyed that Earl dropped them both when he was going to count the pin.
Is now the official referee for this match, and that was a huge mistake because Hebner makes the biggest mistake in this match. Like we said,
oh my God.
Slams, there's ankle locks, no tap out. Finally, the climax of this match, The Rock hits a huge rock bottom.
Before we get to that, sorry to steal your thunder. I got to talk about that ankle lock real quick because it's the first time you've really put over the ankle lock on pay-per-view. Let's not overlook this. Kurt was so freaking intense, and you saw goofy Kurt like the whole rookie year, but this was Kurt Angle wrestling machine, and he was just yelling at The Rock, tap out, I'm going to break your motherfucking ankle. And they actually bleeped out, Kurt Angle just cursing up a storm at him. And he was in agony, absolutely in agony, as The Rock reaches the ropes. And Kurt, to your point, also hit an Olympic slam. The crowd was so into that near fall. They knew where it was going, which is, sorry I cut you off right there. But one.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Two. No, Angle kicked out. But he didn't. Why did this happen? Was Angle? Here's the thing. This is not on Rock. This is not on Angle. This is on Hebner. Because nothing else happened after this match. After this part. Because he hits the rock bottom. 1, 2, and he just doesn't count 3. The fans are pissed. The Rock is extremely annoyed.
Visibly annoyed to the point where
Angle up.
Yeah.
Hits him with another rock bottom. Looks at Hebner and says, count the damn pin. 1, 2, 3. Rock has won the WWF title.
He sure has.
Zoom in on his face, and Rock is pissed.
Oh, he is so mad.
Pissed.
You would think, and I believe the quote that Kurt Angle used on his podcast, which is a great listen, by the way, if you're ever in the mood. But apparently, after The Rock hit the second rock bottom, looked right at Earl Hebner, and he's like, count the motherfucking finish. And then they go right to it.
And here's the thing, the other awkward part about this finish, and it does not take the air out of this main event because it was an excellent main event. JR he's trying to cover it up, but the more he tries to cover it up, it's like trying to put out a flame, but the flame just keeps getting bigger after you try to put it out. JR keeps saying, it took 2 rock bottoms. It took 2 rock bottoms for The Rock to defeat Angle, but he didn't. It took everything in The Rock's power having to hit 2 rock bottoms. I'm like, look, JR, they didn't replay the first pin for obvious reasons. You didn't have to keep saying that it took 2 rock bottoms because it didn't. Hebner screwed up the finish for whatever reason.
Yeah,
Angle did his
maybe
part, Rock did his part.
Yeah, maybe he just didn't know that there was going to be a second rock bottom. Maybe Kurt forgot to kick it. I don't know. It's a messy little finish.
Don't think so. But again, it does not take the air out of this main event. This was a damn good main event. I have a couple of nitpicks. Obviously, that finish, first of all, but they don't affect my overall enjoyment. I'm going to give this 4.25 stars. This was
I'm going to match it.
Pretty damn good.
I love this
pretty
match.
Damn
I
good.
think it's the stronger match between the two for sure over their No Mercy match, which was overbooked in and of itself with Triple H and Rikishi interference. But this was still really great. Great intensity, great urgency shown throughout between both guys. You really felt like something was on the line here. Rock was triumphant in the ring. Kurt Angle leaves absolutely dejected, and Taz is shaming him for crying on his way up the ramp. He just lost the main event of WrestleMania. You don't expect him to be emotional about it?
So there's my second nitpick. Angle's been champion since October, right?
Yes.
It's a damn, and I mean damn shame they made him drop the title 1 month before WrestleMania.
He was this close, but
it's just, I get it, and things happen for a reason because we got the amazing main event that we did, but it's just like, damn.
What could have been, man.
Yeah.
But oh man, No Way Out 2001, dude. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted talking about this show, but
I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10.
Same.
This was so damn good.
It was awesome.
Take away the weird Lawler-Richards match. Everything else was so solid on this show. And probably take away the triple threat tables match because that was there. That and the Lawler-Richards match were just there. Everything else was so damn good on this show. It's hard to find a pay-per-view you enjoy from start to finish. And even the stuff that wasn't that great, it didn't affect my enjoyment. It was just there. But this is such a good pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It's such a I hope there's people out there that have Peacock, that have Impact Plus, that have Honor Club Baby, and they get that and they watch their first or second pay-per-view, and they find a show that was as magical as this was for me back in 2014. WWE Network, all the pay-per-views I could ever want, and then stumbling across this pay-per-view with a 5-star match between Austin and Triple H and an excellent main event in The Rock and Kurt Angle. It's so good.
It's a hidden gem, man. And this is further proof that the calendar year from Backlash 2000 up through WrestleMania X7, best year of business that Vince McMahon ever did for that company. Because all those pay-per-views were top notch. Most of them, at least. 9 times out of 10. Like, you would get a couple stinkers like King of the Ring 2000, which is not a good show if you ever go back and look at it. But there were...
And you go back to 2000 and you see this was the rise of new stars. You had your Triple H's, your Chris Jericho's, your Chris Benoit's, your Eddie Guerrero's, your Kurt Angle's. And again, earlier in that pay-per-view run, you had guys like Jericho and Benoit main eventing pay-per-views for world titles. It's like, this was finally the year where WWE was investing in their future. They knew guys like Rock and Austin, and even to a certain extent, The Undertaker, that, they lost Shawn Michaels. They lost a lot of their big name stars. And, say what you say, WCW was dying, but still, long gone were Savage and Hogan and Hall and Nash. They knew they had their top stars in Taker and Rock and Austin and Triple H, but they were investing in their future. And that whole calendar year proved that.
Yeah, this show was more so with the exception of Kurt Angle, they were more so highlighting their big, established main eventers like Rock, Austin, and Triple H. But this is still, damn, man. It's one of my favorite pay-per-views, literally, of all time. I have so many memories going back and watching the VHS. Network, not the first time I've seen that show, but I'm so glad that there are people like you who are buying the network, viewing this show for the first time, and just loving it as much as I did growing up. But, guys, that'll about do it. Let us know what you thought of it down in the comments. Next review, Tomas, is it's going to be an interesting one because we're going to Revolution on Sunday, and that's the next show in our pipeline, it's looking like.
It is, and in our next retrospective, it sucks that we're going No Way Out 01 all the way down to No Mercy 2005.
04. 04.
04, thank you.
I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, Eddie Guerrero's not like Eddie Guerrero's not fully done yet, but
oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit, No Mercy 04.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, with the last ride match, and all that other fun stuff on SmackDown. Yeah, you have that, and hey, we also were talking about reviewing a retro WrestleMania on this pod in the build up to Mania 39 when we're gonna go down there. We're gonna do something a little bit different for that show as well. Tomas and I talked about it. And we were like, how fun would it be if we talked about the last time we were at WrestleMania Live? So, retro review WrestleMania 31, guys. It's going to be a fun one.
We're breaking our rule a little because with our retrospective, it's going to take a very long time to get to 2015. So I think it'd be fair to just talk about, our very first WrestleMania experience and what we were doing, how we were feeling, our whole experience. It's going to be great. And I always need an excuse to go back and watch that WrestleMania. Call me biased, but when you're at your first WrestleMania experience live, it obviously becomes one of your favorites, and that Mania is in my top 5.
Yeah, no, it's in my top 3. It's in my top 3. I can't wait to talk about that. But guys, stay tuned for all that and much, much more. You guys are the best. Subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more fun wrestling talk, guys. It's gonna be fun. Take care.